Ashraf and I are here today to present on behalf of all the organization involved in this project that Luis had shared. So in the presentation, we'll walk you through the entire cycle of worker-based monitoring from the data collection to impactful negotiation. So our workers-based monitoring cycle starts with those who matter the most and knows the challenges best, which are workers, trade unions, and communities. So first, we form a core group with them, ensuring their active involvement in all the process. With their local knowledge, they help us carefully select the garment factories to be surveyed. In this factory, workers participate in a decent work check to assess their working condition against the national labor laws. But data only powerful if it's used, right? So the trade union and communities will be equipped with extra skills to use the data to negotiate with their employers or even influence the government and brands policies. So the goal here is to turn worker-driven data into real actions. So finally, we monitor the progress to follow-up surveys, whether we check whether the agreement made during the negotiation turns into the real improvement for the workers. Next, please. Okay, so between mid-October 2025 and January 2026, the BLF team has conducted decent work check surveys across a small ready-made garment cluster in Australia. A total of 51 RMG factories participate, interviewing 1,580 workers. Our 10 enumerators conducted the interview that covered 8 labor topics, and we make sure to have sample of minimum 30 workers per factories with diverse representation on the workers. And everything was done with a full worker consent and confidentiality. Okay, so Ashraf from the BLF will tell you further on the experience on the field and when they conducted the surveys and also the findings that they have. Please, Ashraf.
Thank you, Nadia, and thanks everyone for attending these site sessions. Let's start with something what we have received from the field reaction from the worker survey. What we have seen in the field, like most of the workers are actually living in a very unhygienic and overcrowded places. We even see the factory surroundings are also polluted, and there is a sewage leakage and polluted water bodies by factory effluents. And most of the workers are actually living in a very congested places with 3 and 4 people sharing in one room. And since these types of surveys we are quite new to Bangladesh, and workers are very curious on this survey, and they have asked so many clarifications. And one challenge we have faced that the workers are actually living in very close by each other. So workers keep asking the untargeted workers been asking us that why they are not actually interviewing. So they feel deprived, and they have actually think they are actually helpless. And many workers are actually dissatisfied with their wages, and low income opportunities significantly reduce their total income, making it hard to support their families. And for many, overtime, the period we have actually conducted our survey, the overtime rate was low. So the overtime is not is extra income, but which is very important for their survivals. But if they do not have overtime, they cannot live their life. Can you go to next slide, please? Yeah. This slide is quite interesting. I think these are the consolidated outcomes of our data, what we have gathered, as Nadia mentioned, that on 8 labor topics like employment security, fair treatment, health and safety, right to organize, social security, wages, women rights, and working hours, we have analyzed the data. And these data, I have to mention it again, it's a small cluster we have actually gone through with only 51 factories. where there is more than 4,000 RMG factories in whole Bangladesh. And what we have found that the major highlights that the fair treatment and women rights. You can see from the figure, this like a fair treatment goes to 96% and women rights goes to 95%. I'll come to women workers side. I know lots of questions will asked by the audience. And another challenges still remains same, that the right to organize is 52%, it says, and social security is 37%. As I mentioned, that you can see that this is a consolidated data of many subtopics data. If I go through the next slides, then you can actually easily understand that what subtopics are actually got the compliance and what not. These slides, shows the high compliance data we have received from the factories, like wages are paid regularly. And one important thing that we did not find child labor in the factories, and there is no discrimination based on the religion. And no reported sexual harassment case in the past years. So you can see the 92.34%. So which is shows that the high compliance, but on the other hand, it shows that whether it is reported or non-reported. Like, we have discussed with some workers, they said that, if they do not actually complete the target, they are being harassed, but they don't think this is a harassment. They think that, okay, if I don't complete my target, people the supervisor will actually ask something on me. And occupational injury benefits are provided by the factories. It's not like the whole benefit will be provided is providing by the government, and rather sometimes the workers has to pay a portion of their expenditures. And we have found that the employment contracts has been provided to the workers, but it's still 82%. And another important issue is that most of the workers said that they are not forced to work over 60 hours a week. And one important things came to from this survey, that the severance is paid upon contract termination. But again, the workers said that many times the employers ask them to resign forcibly, and then the severance paid to the workers. So this is another concerning factors when we actually spoke with the workers in some areas. If I go to next slide, please. These slides, see the actually major issues, like when you see the right to organize, we have seen that 9% of the workers is still they said they are union members, and 20%, 7% workers say legally they can go for strike legally. Actually, that time we have actually collected data, the workers actually went to the street on their wage issues. They thought that is because of their unawareness. They thought that, okay, if they go to the street without any hassle, they thought that, okay, they have right to strikes. It's not like that they have right to strikes at factories or something like that way. And you can see that still we have declared the minimum wage year before, but still 28% of the factories are actually beyond implementing the minimum wage. And again, from the previous slide, you can see here that 42% of the workers actually mentioned that they are actually working more than 60 hours, which we call extra overtime. And 17% only 17% of the workers actually said that they get gratuity when they leave the job after a certain period of time. So this remains another critical point. And another important issue is that there is no social securities, any social securities for the workers who actually leaving the job after certain times for the old ages, or there is no healthcare benefits for them. In my previous slide, what I mentioned that, GBB is often unreported, and female workers actually take verbal abuse, which is a very normal case inside the factories. This is some important topics what we have found from our data, and we are still reviewing the data. Actually, we are accumulating all the data. Maybe this data will be later published publicly as a summary. But if any brands actually interested to work more on this data, they may actually contact with us. Back to Nadia. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Okay, so for Bangladesh, we just finished analyzing the compliance data, so we don't have any experience on how we use the data yet, but we have done a similar approach in Indonesia, and it works. We saw real improvement, especially at the factory level. So workers and trade unions were engaged in our practical workshop. They learned how to use the decent work check to identify non-compliances. They learned how to access publicly available data online and also build a strong arguments based on the data, labor law, and also best practices from other companies' collective bargaining agreement. So the trade union successfully negotiate for the nursing room facilities and also secure improved breastfeeding rights in their collective bargaining agreement. So in Indonesia, we are slowly seeing a shift on how trade union negotiate. So from negotiating with muscle or using some confrontation to negotiating with data. So I quote trade union words on this. This changes was seen in the multiple factory level trade union. This is only one of the examples that I share with you today. So yeah, you can discuss more in the panel, I think. Next.
Yeah, Nadia?
Yeah.
Approximately 1 more minute to go.
Okay. So you successfully negotiate, but how exactly do we monitor everything's actually changed, right? So to track the progress, we conduct another round of decent work checks surveys. We asking the workers if the agreed improvements are actually in place. And with the consent of the unions and factories, this result can even be made public in the factory page and the WageIndicator websites. So if you take a look at this screenshot of a certain factory page in Indonesia, over time, you can see a clear shift in several areas or subtopics, moving from non-compliance, if you see that orange on the right side, to compliance, to all the green in the left side. So yes. And then can I just next? Okay, so basically this worker-based monitoring approach offers lots of things. It makes information on working condition easily accessible. It helps trade union and factories to negotiate more fairly. And it's also bring real transparency and accountability across the supply chain. And with that in mind, we would like, as Ashraf said, we would like to expand this approach, bringing more factories and brands also on board with this approach. So what's next? Of course, we need your help to amplify this impact. Please use the data, advocate for changes, and also, most importantly, support local trade unions and communities as they push for improvements. So yes, thank you very much.